So, any codec moments from you, Snake?
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Co-op Moments. This is FlashMedallion, joined here as hopefully always with FlashMedallion. How you doing today, sir?
Doing very good, thank you. What's new with you?
Still on the mend from the wisdom teeth, which I think I had mentioned before on the cast. It's not gonna lie, it sucked quite a bit, but I got a lot of Zelda in and had some time for Survive, so it's been good for gaming.
Yeah, it is very good for gaming. I found I had my wisdom teeth out, probably not as bad as yours, a few years ago now. And yeah, when I felt like it, it's just sitting on the couch and hitting some games.
Yeah, I got to participate in the American opioid crisis. Got a lot of fun stuff to kind of put me out for a bit, so it's it's been fun.
Sweet. Right, and just a quick update. So we had our pilot recording of Co-op Moments. It's going to be a few weeks ago now, and sorted out a few technical issues and tried to get better audio balance and stuff like that. We have recorded one previously and had technical issues with that as well, but so I guess just for the 5 people who listen, the general plan going forward is me and Scuff are going to do something like a more general discussion, you know, bigger series stuff and things like that. And then hopefully myself and Waylander will be doing something more like possibly weekly kind of recap of updates, how the game's going, since we both have been playing quite a bit, quite high level, and we can mess around with all the new stuff as it comes out. So all of that aside,
And I am not.
Scuff is still relatively green, as you can probably see on the screen right now. So we're running another easy salvage at the moment, which is fine. I'm sure 2 of us can handle that, no sweat. And otherwise, it should be a breeze.
Yeah, and I totally forgot to eat. I went into this hungry.
That's alright. Because this is co-op operations, I'm just going to dump some food in here for you. Once I figure out how that all works. You can have, I've made you some special ass meat pie, and I've also given you some soup, so that should do the trick. So you can just
appreciated, sir.
So how are you finding your progression so far in the game? Now, some people
Survive has a problem with me, and it's not a criticism of the game. I have a problem with open world games where it takes me absolutely ages to do any kind of story progression because I explore way too much. I forget what I'm doing pretty often, just like that kind of stuff. As far as getting around that, it's actually been pretty good to keep me motivated so I don't starve to death in the middle of nowhere and be knocking me out on painkillers, putting me back a bit. I think I mentioned to you the other day, I'd go into the dust with an objective in mind, like, all right, I'm gonna, go do a new wormhole generator, and then 2 minutes into the dust, completely forget what I was doing there and run out of oxygen and die. The stories I have seen, though, is surprising. Yeah, I think that was my 2nd time doing it, period, and then I probably did it about 5 more times while I've been recovering. But the story is actually, I mean, let's be real here. It's very silly. It's all over the place, but I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, and you're not even up to what I would call the good bit. Like, there's a certain point, there's a certain turn of the screw in the story where it just opens up a bit. And when that happened, I was impressed. Mainly because my expectations were so low. But, and like stayed low after playing the first kind of act, I guess, of the story, and I was like, okay, I was about right here, this isn't so hot, but it's good enough.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the silliness of it.
Yeah, it's interesting, because they haven't set their sights that high, which is understandable, but I think some of the moments in the story indicate to me that they probably could have aimed a bit higher and succeeded. What the hell? I'm taking this way too casually. Like, it's just easy. I'm just running around like an idiot.
I mean, they've got some pretty, like, I cannot tell you any names because I'm horrible with keeping up with names outside of, people like Hideo Kojima and so on and so forth. But there are people that have been with the series for quite some time, and you can definitely tell that they're bringing some some like, cool new ideas to the table. Like, I don't think they set out to create an ambitious story. Like, I think this is just meant to be like an acid type kind of thing. But I'm excited to see what they may have next.
Yeah, I mean, and Survive does have some good ideas in it. I think, like ideas that I would love to see, like, you know, someone like Kojima deal with or at least play with. But no, it's enough.
And speaking of Kojima and, you know, his last entry into the series, obviously there's controversy surrounding things like reused assets, which we've covered before on the pilot, and, you know, it just feeling so much like Phantom Pain. And I think we had talked before earlier that it would be kind of cool to kind of do a chat on, you know, things that were in Survive that, you know, may have made Phantom Pain a little bit better, or, you know, would have kind of fit right in there. Do you have any immediate thoughts on that?
Yeah, for a start, like, obviously the map layouts are the same, but what I'm surprised at is the kind of the lack of reuse content. Like, there's so much stuff, mechanics and assets in the Phantom Pain still to come, or not still to come, but they could easily be folded in. Weapon-wise, you know, we haven't seen submachine guns, we haven't seen rocket launchers, we haven't seen grenade launchers, and they might be high-end gear, but at a pure mechanical level, yeah, I want to see way more guns, way more that sort of thing. Considering that in this game, most of the focus is on melee, and all these weapons are original.
Yeah, it struck me as well, and, you know, I don't think Phantom Pain or really any other previous Metal Gear Solid game like needed melee, but with Phantom Pain, like, I'd love to see some of like the machetes and like that kind of stuff go in there, so you can go in naked camo covered in blood with a machete and just completely go John Rambo.
It's a different style, and it probably didn't suit the way everything was constructed, and this is a great opportunity to do that as well. So hopefully we see more of that. Like, and maybe as a post-game or an expansion, like, bring all the melee stuff into the Phantom Pain could work, like, for you dicking around. Like, it's kind of the style they were almost going for, or you would hope that they might have tried in the Jamais Vu op and Ground Zeroes, right? Like with Raiden, and, you know, imagine chucking a high-frequency blade in there, and that kind of thing.
I'd be really interested to see what the fan reaction would be if Konami said, alright guys, like, we're releasing Chapter 3, and it's a tie-in with Metal Gear Survive. Like, I'd be really curious to see how people would digest that information.
Just while we're at it, if you see where I am on the map, I just put a machine gun down there for you, so you can get some cub.
I can contribute.
Oh, so you can level up, like.
Ah, right.
So we can only do easy in this, for if anyone's unaware, because Scuff hasn't gotten to the point where he can do these other things, and I think it's something of a restriction to stop, you know, babysitting somebody into extreme or hard, extreme's not out yet, into hard mode, and allowing them to rack up all these points.
It's no fun for the baby sat in that situation either.
Yeah, so at least we can help. You know, I can give you a big old gun and you can kill stuff.
I can handle that. For me, I would love to see, and this was, I can't remember if we've actually talked about this before on the pilot or not. My biggest letdown with Phantom Pain was Mother Base, and just how completely kind of devoid of anything to do there actually was. There was a couple of pause things, and yeah, and that was completely it. I would love to see the life that the base camp at Survive brings into Phantom Pain, and like see that kind of life at Mother Base.
Yeah, not that the Survive base is particularly interesting, but more along those lines. Like, you know, you've got your soldiers will salute you in Phantom Pain. That's cool. They don't respond to you in Survive. Like, you've got emotes. Wouldn't it be great if they saluted you back to boost motivation or something like that? But definitely this base construction in Phantom Pain, my only guess is that there may be some concerns about PvP, like you allow anyone to lay out your base however you want, and that leads to interesting strategies. You know, there's always somebody who wants to just break the shit out of it.
Yeah, and I think that was what a lot of people were expecting with the whole FOB invasion. I remember when the
And hoping
the
for, right? You want to be that
absolutely.
You want to be that guy with an unstoppable base defense kind of thing. But that's not really what it was about. It was more about kind of unlimited sneaking missions, really. So that freedom of customization didn't really exist. But that would have been nice.
I almost kind of wonder if like the right play in that situation would have been to be upfront about like what was going to be there and what was not. And you know, in their defense, they didn't say something was going to be in the game and then took it away or anything like that. People's hopes just kind of got ahead of them. But it's an interesting question to me always if that was reasonable to expect or hope for. Especially in this day and age, or well, really, Phantom Pain came in just before that. If you want to talk about things like No Man's Sky, but just the concept of expectation management now is something that's a lot bigger in kind of the gaming, or whatever you want to call it, the whole culture, I guess, now. Yeah. I think it's actually kind of a problem in gaming culture, community, or whatever you want to call it today. Like the amount of stuff that I see people expect for free when like a company has to spend on it. It is mind-blowing to me what people expect just to be like given to them at just complete cost or expense of the company. Yeah, and I don't think it's a problem that can be solved by just telling people to stop being dicks. Like, someone eventually, and it'll happen, is going to figure out or get a better concept of expectation management and communication and stuff like that, so that these people aren't running wild going, oh man, I can't wait till I play this driving game with, you know, realistic something physics or whatever, and it doesn't happen and everyone loses their shit. Yeah. No Man's Sky is definitely like the shining example.
Which is it is a real shame. Yeah. Because I mean, that game was what I expected and wanted. You know, it's something I've wanted for a really long time. Having grown up playing something like Sid Meier's Pirates, which doesn't give you quests or give you content as such. It just puts you in an environment with systems. And if you don't enjoy the core loop of sailing a ship through the wind and occasionally having ship battles, then no amount of quests and writing and stuff is ever going to change that. And if you don't like exploring a weird planet just for its own sake, then you're probably never going to like No Man's Sky. I think Survive took the completely opposite route with expectations, because I think a lot, like, I mean, we didn't even know that there was a campaign up until like a month and a half before it came out, or at least completely confirmed. That's right. And again, like, the betas were very co-op focused, and like, this is what the game is. This is, you know, what to expect. Co-op, yeah, fighting zombies, blah 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 blah. And then you have to spend, I don't know how long it is for most people, but quite a long time playing campaign before you can really get what is in-game co-op. Interesting, because I mean, to your point, everyone thought that it was going to be only co-op, or at least a large amount of people did. Like, I think they had mentioned something like there will be your option, just something like vague like that at the very beginning, and I think a lot of people took that to mean campaign. But I mean, like, from what we had seen at previous E3s or other events that some of our other mods went to, like, we weren't shown anything whatsoever about a campaign. It was mentioned. Oh, I've put a gun back up where I put last time too. It was mentioned, and that's it. They said there is a story campaign, but we will not be talking about it, and we can't talk about that at the moment. It's like, okay, but that's it. They said it's a thing. What I was expecting out of the campaign, because like I was in the boat where like I knew there was going to be one, I was expecting something just purely wave defense, and like you'd have like your one base that you'd just have to like keep out and like go and build up. Not completely on the surface, unlike what we have, but like you basically could never leave it. Yeah, it's interesting though and I would call that a parallel to the Phantom Pain, is that all the single player content really is a variation of the same theme. It's get to a location, start a defense, and then hold off until, you know, hold off for a time limit. That's the game. And all the different set pieces all kind of involve that in a different way. At least at a mission level, let's go in, plant a thing, set up your fences, and then hold off. That's the whole game, really. Along with all that survival side of it, which kind of ties in and kind of doesn't. Like, in co-op, you're not really managing food or your injuries, are you?
No, I had one injury so far this whole thing, and that's only because I was completely not paying attention.
And even then, there's no real need to cure it, unless, I think once in a co-op match, some zombie grabbed my ankle and I got limp and I couldn't run anywhere. I was like, oh, okay, I actually need to cure this.
That's important.
Yeah.
I mean, that brings up a good point, too, of, like, comparing it to Phantom Pain, where I think it's completely on the player to not necessarily introduce variation, because all the tools are there for you to do it, but it's up to you to have the game not be the same every time, and I think it's a beautiful way to do it.
Yeah. I think that's more what the survival side of Survive achieves. Wow. You know, if you run out of steel... No, I'm fine. If you run out of steel,
okay,
then, you know, you can't craft certain things. So you kind of have to make do. If you go, well, shit, I'm burning through this particular weapon too much, you know, oh, I'm using my shotgun all the time, and now I can't use my shotgun anymore. You've got that force variation going on, where you've got to use other things to bring your lead consumption within practical limits. And go, well, fine, I'm going to only use shotgun in emergency, and I have to stick to melee until I can use my shotgun more, and that kind of thing. So it's a really roundabout way of enforcing variation.
Which Phantom Pain did not do in any way, actually.
Not really.
There were so many people I saw just saying, like, oh, I went through the whole game with the fucking tranquilizer gun. The game sucks.
Yeah. It doesn't do that as much. Like, it does have resource costs, but I don't think they scale as interestingly. Like, really high-end gear takes a lot to develop, but it's not a huge amount of maintenance as long as you're playing regularly. If you're doing FOB raids a lot and event missions and stuff, you're usually getting enough GMP and flowers and fuel and stuff to come along with your coolest grenade launcher or your... are we seriously getting hammered? Hang on.
Getting there. I'm doing okay.
I'm going to be really annoyed if this doesn't S-rank. Do you want to run off and get that side op?
Yeah, that could work. We got 60 seconds anyways.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Yeah, so there's force variation through kind of survival mechanics or gathering mechanics, which may not work for everybody. For some people it just turns the game into a grind because there's no way in hell I'm not using my best gear, therefore I have to run around and gather stuff before I can play co-op, whereas kind of what I think is the preferred or encouraged method is if you're running out of gunpowder, then it just means you're using too many guns.
Yeah, it's an interesting and really cool kind of, take on it. And actually, back to our previous conversation, that is something I would have liked to see in Phantom Pain, is a little bit more kind of, I guess, bypassing enforcement, whatever you want to call it, of, varying up your gameplay a little bit. Not because I think it was necessary to enjoy the game, but just to kind of like get the point across of Phantom Pain. Because, I mean, people were expecting something completely different, and I think just a little bit more hand-holding, at least in like the first quarter or third of the game or so, to just kind of like explain to players, like, the point is to do every mission differently.
Yeah, it's hard to enforce, but yeah, it could have been encouraged more perhaps, and maybe more of those.
Or even mentioned.
Yeah. It's slightly there in terms of the you know, the enemy response. If you use a lot of tranquilizers, or if you do a lot of headshots, or you do a lot of sneaking, or that kind of thing, they will change their gear. They'll start wearing helmets if you do a lot of headshots, and they'll start wearing body armor and gas masks and things like that. It's kind of there, but
That's right, I forgot about that. And like, if you always infiltrate at night and so on and so forth.
yeah, it does happen, but I don't think it's really ever enough to overcome skilled play.
No, I agree, and talking about the resources a moment ago too, like, I think after I hit probably like the 30% mark in, as far as story goes in Phantom Pain, like, I don't think I ever worried about my resources once after that point.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, interesting kind of parallel approaches there, but a lot going on. So talking about things from V going into Survive, are there any things from Survive you think would have been cooler in V? Like we've talked about it with Malay, I guess, a little bit, and the base building.
I'd hate to say story aspects with it being Survive compared to Phantom Pain, but actually a lot of the support characters, like, I mean, there weren't many outside of Cause and Ocelot in Phantom Pain. I guess, you know, you have the Indian, there's Quiet, like, these characters in Survive actually feel a lot more lively and interesting and a little bit more depth than some of them did in Phantom Pain, at least on the surface level. Like,
think so?
You can analyze Quiet till the end of time and Code Talker till the end of time, but as far as interacting with them, I thought there was a little bit more in Survive, but it's kind of weird,
okay.
hard to
yeah,
say.
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
get
thinking.
that. I get what you mean at like the interactive level. That's probably a fair point. But at the same time, like, these guys are walking cliches in the worst way. Like, it doesn't bug me personally. Again, possibly an expectation thing, but yeah, I don't. The only character I felt attached to at one point, and it's way later on anyway, is the bloody AI pod. I was like, oh, buddy. But that you'll get there. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I like Good Luck. He seems like a likable and a cool character, but Reeve is just like the badass, and then you've got the nurse who's like the girl who cares for people. And it's like, ooh, and let's give them a, like, vague hints of romance, because that's what you do when you have guys and girls in a room together. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you that as far as, like, depth was definitely the wrong word for me to use a moment ago, because the guys in V are way more in depth, and that brings so much to the table. It's just definitely more on, like, a surface level, very high, like, high level stuff that I would have liked to see more of in Phantom Pain. Like, even for Ocelot or Cause, just like see them at Mother Base, and like they have like one of like 5 or 6 pre-programmed lines they vomit out when, like, when you walk past them or something.
Or like tips or little side requests or something. It's very little is left up. Ironically, very little is left up to you in terms of managing or taking part in those relationships. It's all something that is kind of acts upon you, or upon Big Boss there. So yeah, as for Survive, it's again 0 expectations, so it's good enough.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff.
I think that's why I love Survive so much, is because I was not expecting anything whatsoever.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm just going to change some gear so that we can get all this shit out of the way. So we're going to... Do you want to run... We'll run a rescue. You may not have done a rescue before, but... So if all goes tits up, that's fine. It can be recorded for posterity and broadcast to the internet.
Yeah. Assume that we have to rescue somebody, and I think I can at least run beside you during that.
Well, you could carry him, and I can fight everybody off. Might help. Do you have
Sounds
a
like a
pistol?
really good plan to me.
Yeah,
I can definitely carry people.
Yeah, sweet. All right, we'll have a crack at this. So, I don't know, maybe you didn't do the tutorial, but it'll let you do easy, so here we go.
What do you think about like the mission structure as far as having to go somewhere on foot or having to explore your way somewhere versus being able to just hop on a helicopter from Mother Base and then drop in and then kind of have to navigate your way there? Do you feel like there's some kind of difference there, or it's more or less just the same thing?
Yeah, I think so. In Phantom Pain, every mission and every side op is all really variation on a single theme, which is sneak in, sneak out. Go in, do a thing, get out. That's every Metal Gear Solid game, right? You need to go into a place, do a thing, and then get out. So it's a whole game with 30 odd, 40 odd variations on that theme. So for Survive, the getting in part, go in, defend, get out. The getting in part is designed to drain your resources if you're not very good, because you need those resources to defend. You only have so many fences, so many arrows, all that kind of thing. So the survival side of it is how good and how quietly or whatever can you get in so that you're better equipped to defend later on. I think that's pretty good design.
Absolutely, I agree, and that was one thing I really liked in Survive. Speaking of things to port over, is when I was gathering resources in Phantom Pain, it just felt like I was just gathering these nameless boxes to dump them into this nameless machine that would just fart out numbers for me in a menu and just like pump out soldiers, and it was basically I was doing it for the menu and stats, where in Survive I'll see some things like, oh, I need that for my base. I'm like, oh, like I need to build some campfire or something thing like in this corner over here, and like it's just more than the customization. Like I felt like I actually needed this stuff rather than pump it into a menu.
For sure. That being said, in between the time of the beta and Survive coming out, I went back and played Phantom Pain for a couple of weeks, and a lot of my resources were low, and all that going on. So I was playing with very low-key gear. I needed more fire, I needed more common metals, and all that stuff. So suddenly I found myself planning resource runs and taking extra risks and running in just to get those little red boxes, and it was very interesting doing that right after playing Survive, because all these kind of mechanics and some of that gameplay loop was there already. You do need resources to keep going, especially early in the game. Like one of those little red boxes is kind of worthwhile. It's something to go and try and grab. So it's interesting that they took such a small aspect and then branched it out and made a whole game out of it.
Yeah, now that you're talking about it, I actually do kind of miss that about Phantom Pain, is actually needing resources. And you're right, it's always the fire, like the little red boxes, or you see a shipping container with one. It was like Christmas, like you need that to upgrade to the next rank, or attract more soldiers, or whatever goal you had in mind. It was worth going after. And by the end of Phantom Pain, or even like halfway through or a third through, like I mentioned earlier, it was like I was some kind of like warmonger, like with the world's natural resources, like at my beck and command.
Yeah. Right. So a guy's gonna fall out of the sky, and you need to pick him up, and you're gonna walk really slowly because he's heavy for some reason, and you just got to follow these blue lines home, and I'll shoot everything that tries to kill you.
This guy has the density of a dying sun. I've definitely carried people in Metal Gear games a lot smaller than this. I mean, a lot bigger than this, where I did not walk like this.
There are tricks, but now's probably not the time to practice them. Oh, you got hit.
Oh dear.
Sorry, I just shotgunned you too. It's literally the worst thing you can do in this mode.
You got him? Myself real quick. Little styptic. Ah, son of a bitch. Actually, that's something I would have liked to see in Phantom Pain is the healing system.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. You really got to keep moving, man.
No shit.
Alright, I'm gonna grab him because I want to see if I can do it. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure it'll work due to the short nature of the missions. Like, if you're helicoptering in and out, then I think the idea of survival and having to eat and cure and stuff doesn't make an awful lot of sense.
That's a good point, actually. I guess some other things would have to change, and at that point you're changing the dynamics of the entire game.
Yeah, so
if I can get a styptic kick going, I can... Actually, I guess we're there. I was going to say I could carry him if I can get a second to heal myself, but we're there.
No. This is a...
Shit.
That's alright, all we gotta do is drop him and he's safe. Like, they'll hit him, but there's a little bug at the moment where, well, I don't know if it's a bug, but unintended consequences anyway, where he goes up in the air and now they can't touch him and the round will end. Like, this is just free. This is just free, free experience at the moment. So just kill everything you can.
That's nice of them.
Yeah, and there's free ammo refills in this mode as well, so you can go kill a detonator and grab its ammo, and then enter the mission and leave with whatever you came in with, basically. And
that's nice.
So yeah, this is a good.
You think we'll see any other game types?
I do. I don't know what they'll be, but I don't think they're going to leave it at this. And this is a cool. It's quite not. What do you? Just leave him. Just leave him.
Shit. Yeah, I didn't mean to pick him up. He did come down though.
Fucking hell.
Shit. Can I throw a Molotov or will that fuck him up?
Maybe they've changed this. Oh no, sorry, I forgot to start the fucking thing. Oh wow. This is going on the internet. Everyone's gonna see how fucking bad this is. This is what I get for not paying attention.
It's cool that they took such like a random thing from Phantom Pain and crafted a whole story around it. Because I mean, it's just like the personnel and resource extraction method, and then they crafted an entire story around that.
Yeah, it's an odd thing to do. And I think the other thing it kind of underlines is the Phantom Pain was so fucked up and weird that really nobody batted an eyelid over the fact that we're using wormholes. Like, it's incredibly weird and out of left field. And, you know, here we go. No one's going to explain why, no one's going to say anything, which is kind of par for the course, but still, really odd. Really, really weird.
And there was no, like, it wasn't like, oh, like, we've made this, you know, groundbreaking breakthrough,
No.
yada yada yada. So like, get a call one day, and it's like, hey boss, I've upgraded your Fulton. Like, it's a wormhole generator now, and you can like send people to the Phantom Realm where they'll just pop up back at base.
Yeah, none of that. It's like, just go capture like a bird that references one of Hideo Kojima's other games, and then you can teleport shit. So, I have my suspicions, and it's of course all entirely speculation, but I have to wonder how long the idea for Survive has been floating around, and whether or not something like this, like basically a mobile game designed for microtransactions, was floated. You know what I mean?
You're not the first person to say it, and it is. There's definitely some weight. Like, it is all speculation, but there's definitely like reasoning and like all kinds of things behind it. And like, you know, with Konami too, with all the red tape that they have, I mean, like, Pachinko probably sat around as an idea for fucking 5 years before it ever saw something actually manifest from it, and I have to think that it was something similar with Survive.
I think it would have been related to V, but if I was to make any further speculation, which is probably already going too far, I would float the idea that maybe FOB mode was a compromise. Like, I'm not putting this...
I could see that.
We're not going to do this, but if you want monetization, I'll come up with something that fits my game a bit better. And do you want to come get some... Sorry, I probably should have given you a heads up. I'm taking this guy home, so if you want to...
Oh no, it's fine. Damn, I can't craft. How do you do the free ammo refill?
It's from killing detonators. Well, I took them all because I had to use up so much.
Ah, gotcha. I pretty much just have my crowbar at this point. But
there's one over here if you really need it.
Meandering over there. There's also, too, that Kojima had the idea with how easy Phantom... Like, once everything was set in place, how easy it was to create missions. I know he had the idea of just, like, pumping out add-ons and extra missions and stuff for Phantom Pain.
Yeah, which never manifested either. I think that's more a function of finishing work on Phantom Pain and moving on. But
I could definitely see Survive being something like one of those ideas. Like, you know, what if we did like a little zombie add-on? Like, it maybe not. Was
welcome back.
Yeah, technical difficulty. I don't know what happened. First it was, it said you left the party, and then it said I was no longer in the party due to a network error, and then
that's what
I was hastily hitting buttons and joined Fear's party. There's like 8 people, and I was like, oh, fuck, sorry, goodbye.
Right, I'll just do some creative editing for that dropout. So for everybody watching that, what a fucking clusterfuck. So podcasting and playing easy mode apparently is a bit much for FlashMedallion. Oh, I didn't even see it. Did that
We'll say it's because the quality of the discussion was so good.
Yeah, it was engrossing. Oh yes, we got the perfect stack. It's a blessing.
That's what I figure.
Oh man, that's good. Alright, so some technical issues, but there's a couple of runs and some good discussion.
Yep, thanks for the free level ups. I don't have to contribute anything. That always works for me.
Yeah, that's all good. You can use my guns anytime. So hopefully you enjoy the game and make it through to the end of the story, and we can start doing a bit of normal and hard and get those sick drops.
Definitely sounds good to me. Thanks for the help and the coupons, and thanks everyone for giving us a listen and watch.
Great.
Later on.